Jackson rolling through the SWAT. Repping for the city, hear him in the parking lot. Houston written across the jersey, ain't gon' never stop. Just fans got me tuning in, waiting for the drop. Astros, Texas, Rockets, Dynamo, they coming with it. When they pull up, got the city sitting on a fitted. Straight up A-Leaf, hold it down, ain't gon' never quit it. Just fans got me tuning in, let my dogs get it. Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans.
How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us tonight. We got Rios in the house. How's it going, Rios?
Pretty good. I see Sarge enjoys the intro.
I was like, the whole time, I'm like, I'm going to miss my cue because I'm looking at Sarge with the hat just bobbing his head up to the intro. And, of course, we got Sarge from Big Sarge Sports Media. Big Sarge, how's it going, man? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, man, that intro is live. Which one of y'all got it for y'all ringtone? One of y'all got it for your ringtone.
I wish. It'd be awesome. I teach kids, so it'd be kind of cool if it comes out in the middle of class out of nowhere. Walgreens calling me up to refill my medication. 9:30 in the morning.
Intro's amazing, man. I like it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I think since the last time you were here, we've updated a few things on the show. Intro primarily, and then also like kind of how we do our backgrounds and stuff like that. So it's just a constant, change. And you obviously, if you don't change, you get stale, and so we're just kind of changing a few things here and there. Hey, man, I appreciate you joining us today. Tell what's been going on with you lately.
Hey, man, first of all, thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. Just got back yesterday. This past weekend, Will Anderson Jr. held his first youth football camp.
Yeah.
And the one thing that was so special about it was, of course, it was the first annual, but they've never had football camps like that in the north part of Georgia. In the south part of Georgia. Mm-hmm. So Will and his mother told me that when he was younger, they would have to drive an hour away to North Georgia just so he could be able to attend those type of football camps. So nobody ever put on those type of camps. Nobody, no professional football player never put on those type of camps. So it was so important for Will to do his first camp. And look, it's so crazy because where he held the camp is where he played Pop Warner football. So as he's talking to me, I got a clip that I'm going to put out later on. But as he's talking to me, he's like, "Hey, Sarge, I won championships on that field right over there." His father was like, "Man, I remember Will was playing with another team against a team, and then they wanted him, and it's just all these memories just came back, and it was like a big family reunion for him." Mm-hmm. But to see him, to see CJ put on a camp not too long ago over at St. Thomas. Tank had a camp. Nico had a camp. What they're doing is they're building that foundation of young players of being able to give back to the community, give back to the youth, man. And that's something that not only looks good on the Houston Texans, but also looks good on the players. And so, man, I was really excited that I was able to get out and be at Will's first camp. JG was there too. Jonathan Grenard was there.
Oh, nice.
Man, they're like, when I tell you they're like best friends, man. I put out some pictures on my social media, and it was just them. Even the pictures that I put out, man, doesn't tell the whole story on how they were just that relationship and that camaraderie that they have. And I understand, man. The NFL is a business, so yeah, you would love to see JG still be here. You'd love to see Jonathan Grenard still be here. But hey, man, he was able to go and secure the bag. The Texans were able to get Danielle Hunter. So, it is what it is. But they still have a real, genuine relationship. And like I said, man, it was just good to see JG out there. He's always positive. Didn't have a negative word to say about the Houston Texans at all. Was still very grateful and thankful for the opportunity that they gave him.
You know what I've realized, Sergeant? I know this wasn't on the topics list or whatever, but hey, what I realized is you brought up a point. So there's no hard feelings or anything. What I've liked about this organization is that you have a lot of old legends kind of come back to this team and hang out. Like last season when we went to training camp, Rios and I, we saw like I think we went on Legends Day or something like that. They had like a Legends table, but then even that, like you see guys come back to the organization and just kind of hang out. Like you see Andre Johnson all the time being a spokesperson. You see, I don't know if Jonathan Joseph's there anymore, but he He is okay. So yeah, he's there. When we had Kareem Jackson on our show, he just kind of praised like all the things that are happening now, with the team, and so it makes you. It's just amazing how like all these guys keep coming back, and you see it now, but you weren't seeing it a little bit before, I guess. But now it's like you really see it, and I think it's safe to say that there's been a definite culture change in the organization. I mean, since D'Amico and Hannah and Casario just kind of started doing their thing right now. Like, do you see that?
Oh yeah, man. Of course, man. It's I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
Do you see do you see how that is over there? Like, you see all that
Yeah. So it's crazy. So about a month and a half ago, if I'm not mistaken, whenever JJ Watt had his charity softball game out in Sugar Land at the Space Cowboy Stadium.
Yep, there you go.
I can't remember. Whatever Saturday that was, man, the legends were out. And so of course you had Nico there. You had Nico, Will was there, Titus was there, and you could just see how they gravitated towards some of the Texans legends and some of the older players that was there, because not only are those former Texans, not only are they the players that paved the way for them to come, but I mean a lot of them are their head coach's teammates. I mean, so he's out there talking to them, interacting with them, and they are as well. And so that was the first time that I was able to see Stephon Diggs. And if I'm not mistaken, that may have been the first charity event that he attended. And when I tell you, Danielle Hunter was out there as well. Yeah. But when I tell you that those legends embraced, everybody on the current team right now, and when Stephon came, you could just see him interacting with all the Texas legends, everybody getting a chance to pull him to the side, talk to him. He definitely had a great conversation with Andre Johnson. And so the Texans legends, man, and the one thing for me is I'm fortunate to be, really good friends with the Texan legend and Indy Clue. And so I talk to Indy all the time about how they give back to the team and how they embrace the younger players. And Indy always says that, he says, look, man, my career wasn't JJ Watt's career. He said, but when I'm able to talk to these players, they actually listen to me, because I do have, I do have time in the NFL. I did, play some significant snaps in the NFL. So those Texans legends, man, they mean a lot to not only the organization, but to the current team as well. And D'Amico, they support him 100%.
Yeah, it bridges that gap between the generational gap between the old school players and the new school as well, right?
Yes, yes, for sure.
And you wouldn't see something like this, like 3 or 4 years ago, just because we had a different culture in place.
Yes. Oh, look, yes, very, very different culture in place when it was after Bill O'Brien was fired in the middle of the season. Romeo Crennel kind of had it because of the respect that they had for Romeo.
Yeah.
He had been around for such a long time, and so plus he's been in the NFL for a long time. But once after Romeo, it was like, and David Culley. They had some, I'm not going to say they never disrespected Culley or Lovie Smith. It just wasn't the same as it is with D'Amico. But then once again, a lot of those Texans legends played with D'Amico. And so it makes it different from when they come out there and when they step on the field to talk to some of these current players, and the way D'Amico interacts with them, not the way that they interacted with like David Culley or Lovie Smith.
Yeah, you could tell there's a difference in that. It feels even as in the fan base, like it felt like there was more inclusion. There's more inclusion now with the fans, and they're more fan oriented than they used to be. It felt like that change happened like when you saw Cal McNair started grilling burgers for fans. I was like, well, he's doing what? Our owner is doing what?
Yeah, a long way from them, not having fans at that one training camp. I forgot it was 2021 where they had no fans for training camp. I'm like, it's not that's not the way to win the fan base back.
Here's the crazy part about it, man. The fan base is what means so much to the McNairs. Having, and I'm not trying to flex here. I'm not trying to flex out here, but having, conversations with Kyle and Hannah McNair, they know and they could tell that there was the fan base that was supportive, but they, because I put it like this, they're fans of the NFL as well. They're fans of their own team. And then, when their kids play sports. They go out and they're fans, and so they know what it's like to be a fan, and they can tell that the fan base was slipping. Although you still had your diehard Texans fans that was going to be here regardless, they knew that the fan base was starting to move away a little bit, and rightfully so, because there was a lot of toxic things that was going on in the organization, and so they made it their purpose. I think I may have said this before. I don't know if I got a chance to say it on here or not, but the day that they did the press conference after Lovie Smith was fired, and Nick Caserio was up there talking. Hannah hardly ever comes to press conferences like that. She's always busy doing something else. She was front and center, and looking Nick directly in his eyes, and like, yo, and then after it was all over, she said, "Hey, Sarge, we're going to get this together." She said, "Mark my words, we're going to get this together." And all of a sudden, everything just started to look. The wheels started to turn. They got D'Amico in here, and once they got D'Amico, and once him and Nick got on the same page, I mean, we are where we are right now.
Thank you, Hannah. We really
when you say that, it's so funny how and every time, like we majority of the time when we have guests over, we kind of talk about how do we get to this now? And obviously it started with that, and now Texans, the expectation now it's for fans, for everybody, it's like they have a chip on their shoulder. There's a target now. You have way more primetime games than we did last season. Way more than you did last season. We were at 0, and I mean, if you want to count the Saturday, the wild card game, sure, as a primetime, but that wasn't what was originally given. That was part of the
week 18 was primetime.
Was it week 18 primetime
against the Colts?
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I think I flexed in. But originally, they didn't really give us anything. They didn't give the Texans anything.
No, there was nothing. I know, because now that I'm looking at my schedule for this year, I'm like, hey man, I was happy getting off, 12 o'clock game. Oh, that means that I was home by the afternoon, or I could fly out whenever it was. I make sure that I could fly. Now I'm like, Thursday night I have a Thursday night football in New York. I'm like, oh my God, and what are they, an hour or two ahead of us? So I ain't gonna never get out of that. Hey, can I piggyback off of something right quick? I also want to say this though. So for as much excitement as it is right now, let me ask you two a question.
Sure.
Because a couple of weeks ago, I was at a birthday party, and I was talking to a couple of my frat brothers who are diehard Texans fans, and they're both like, "Yes, we're excited, but do you all think that there could be maybe it?" Well, let me start over. Let me ask you this question. What would be a disappointing season to you all?
Oh, we actually have talked about this on our show. Reels, you want to go in first on that one?
So I think for me personally, what I would consider a disappointment is if they don't get past the divisional round. That would be a disappointment.
Yeah.
Because you want to be able to it's all about progression, and we lost in the divisional round pretty soundly. So if they can't get past the division this year, I would see that as a complete disappointment.
But they had a 10-10 at halftime, though. If they could have just had one or two more healthy players, they could have pulled it off.
Yeah, I honestly, I'm gonna ride with Rails on that one. If they, like, we've seen them get to the divisional round, but have we ever seen them get to the AFC Championship? We have not. And I agree with Rios 100% on that. I think as a Texan fan now, you give me at least AFC Championship or bust. It's kind of like AFC Championship at least or bust without. Now, of course, if you want to be the regular the more Texan fans, like Super Bowl or bust, whatever. Yes, you gotta have a sense of realism at the same time too. Not that I don't believe in the team, absolutely not. It's not that. It's just the fact that realistically,
the zoo that puts ketchup on the steak. Patrick Mahomes still out there.
Exactly. So I honestly, to me, AFC Championship at least would not disappoint me. Would be like, okay, it's a step further. It wasn't a regression. Now I think, and I always like to start that sentence with barring injury. Because you knock on wood, this team stays healthy. If this team stays healthy and everything works out and everything is as good as it looks like on paper, this team should reach AFC Championship or higher, even. Like it should. It looks like it, because right now CJ Stroud has a lot of weapons in his arsenal as we speak.
On paper,
Mm.
so I'm the same way. I think it's
Yeah.
AFC Championship game or bust. And if you said, barring injury, I mean, they should be playing probably the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. But when you look at the Houston Texans, or you look at their team, I've been saying this for months now. Well, a couple of months now, that I mean, this is the first time Houston has been that stacked and that much talent on both sides of the ball since the Oilers was here.
Yeah.
In the Houston Texans franchise, they've never had this type of talent on both sides of the ball. And so when I look at them on paper, offensively and defensively, when I look at them on paper, I start to go through the rest of the AFC. And I'm saying to myself, okay, who can beat them? Then I go and I say, okay, so I'll start with like the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, the Ravens will give them a good game. The Kansas City Chiefs, of course, will give them a good game. But outside of those two teams, I'm starting to say to myself, healthy? I don't know outside of those two teams.
Right.
And I don't think that the Texans will be an easy win, for either one of those teams, for Baltimore or for Kansas City. I don't think that they could just walk in and automatically think that they're going to beat the Texans.
Oh, right.
I just can't see another team outside of those two teams in the AFC South. In the AFC, some people will say the Miami Dolphins, but I just don't trust the Dolphins. Like, they have a good team. They have a good offense. Their defense, I have to see it, but I don't see any, so I'm AFC Championship game or bust as well.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. It's the best team, I think, on paper. I think it was I can't remember I think it was Texans 22 podcast that put like a side by side of Texans in 2019 with Deshaun. I think that reached the AFC divisional also, yes. Right? Yeah. The Bill O'Brien one. Duh. And then
please.
That game that we shall not speak of anymore. Compared to the team that we have now, it's an overall improvement. I think the only one that really was, it was JJ Watt on that one. Other than that, it was everything was a complete upgrade. So if that team got that far, I mean, the expectation for this team is just, like you said, at least that or higher. If it's not AFC Championship, I think it's a bust. Honestly, that's how I feel it.
Because even in that year, like, if you look on the offensive side of the ball, you're looking at Watson and D-Hop.
Yeah.
Then nobody else, Then you're looking on the defensive side you can't say Will Fuller, because Will Fuller didn't even finish his season.
I was like, I think they replaced him with Kenny Stills. Remember, he got injured and they replaced him with Kenny Stills that season.
You remember he got busted for PEDs.
And he got bucked, yeah.
After that Thanksgiving Day game where he went off, next thing you know, him and the defensive back,
Colt Roby.
Yep, got suspended. Yep, and then after that, so like I'm saying, you look at Deshaun, you look at D-Hop, and now you look at the Texans offense now, and then you look at the defense side of the ball. You say, okay, you got JJ Watt. I mean, who else? I mean, now when you look on the defense side of the ball, you just go Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, before you even get to Azeez Al-Shaair. So, I mean, they're just stacked on both sides of the ball. And so the thing that I think makes it different, and the reason why I think that Texans fans should be excited, is I don't know if I could say this if Bill O'Brien was still here. Don't get me wrong, Bill O'Brien to me was a good coach. He was a terrible general manager. But I thought that he was a really good coach, right?
He came out and said it too.
But if you look at none of the past coaches from the last four coaches, and I'm talking about Bill O'Brien, Romeo Crennel, David Culley, and Lovie Smith, of course, if they were given this amount of talent, I think that they would mess it up. I honestly and truly believe that they would mess it up. But DeMeco, he walks into the room and you just like, yo, I want to win for you. I'm not even an NFL player. DeMeco walk in, I'll be like, hey, go give me some pads, bro. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to suit up.
Right. Whatever you need, coach, I got you.
We ride or die for you, D'Amico.
So that's how I feel like, that's why I think that the fans should be so excited.
No, I agree with you too, Sergeant. Like, I think a lot of times with the previous Texans teams, you will see like whenever they played the Patriots, like O'Brien would just get out coached, outclassed every single time.
Yes.
Can't seem to work the clock either.
Even going back to Gary Kubiak, it was the same thing because they had talent on both sides of the ball. They just would always get out coached.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Honestly, D'Amico doesn't strike me as a guy that would just let that talent go to waste. D'Amico, I feel like now, you got a second year Bobby Slowick coming in also. I feel like that book is that playbook is going to open a little bit more, especially since you have guys like Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon that can help you out a little more with these acquisitions or whatnot. So
and I don't think you're gonna have those. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but I just want to say real quick, I don't think this year you're gonna have those type of Carolina Panthers, Atlanta Falcons games.
Yeah.
Those type of letdowns this year.
Yeah, no, and we talked about that too. I think it was last episode how they got very conservative with some of those games. Panthers, Falcons. I don't really count the Jets that much because I really feel like CJ was hurt during that game, and so but those those games that were like very winnable. It was like, what are we doing? We were forcing the run. We were doing things out of the norm. I mean that's what it looked like on this from my perspective.
In that Falcons game, man, that pass to Dalton Schultz should have been the game winner.
Yeah,
that should have been the game winner. But I'm going to tell you the weakness of the Texans defense last year and that they upgraded this year is that this ain't no shot at Denzel Perryman, but Denzel Perryman can't cover NRG Stadium. If he was standing in front of it, he couldn't cover it. He'll still lose it. And so, but if you need him to stop the run, he is. He gonna stop the run. So what Atlanta did, Atlanta just started picking on him and picking on rookie Henry To'oTo'o. So I'm like, Henry's a rookie and he's still learning the game. But Perriman, man, watching them just go up the field, I'm like, yeah, they about to win this.
Yeah, he got bullied last season.
Brisket.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Rios and I we did a lot of watch alongs last season and I think that was one of those. It might have been that game. I can't remember Rios. No, it was. It wasn't. But we did a lot of those. But regardless, we would text each other and we were like, and we're like, dude, they're gonna go right through the middle. That's like the weakness right there, down the middle. Sure enough, just middle. Like it was hard to watch. But I agree with you. It's just like I feel like he wasn't. But with the addition of Aziz, how do you feel with his acquisition on the team now?
Oh man, so the one thing that I like, Aziz is almost like the CJ Stroud of the defense, and what I mean by that is he is the quarterback of the defense. CJ said it in one of the when he did his press conference during OTAs that him and Aziz was talking a lot of trash to each other back and forth, and CJ said, I was expecting that because when I was playing against him, when he's with the Titans last year, he talked some trash to us.
Yeah.
He said, but the one thing that I respected is I know I could hear him calling out defensive assignments, putting people where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to do. So he's talking trash, but he's also making sure, watch this, watch that. Hey, get right here, get right there. And the biggest thing that Aziz is going to do is he's going to help elevate Christian Harris, because now you have what D'Amico has taught him and will continue to teach him, and now you have Aziz teaching him and helping him to become a better player. And the one thing that I love about that is Christian is like a freak type of athlete.
Yes.
He didn't start playing linebacker until very late in his career.
Yeah.
So I think he played defensive back, and I know he played defensive back, but I think he also played wide receiver. And so if I'm not mistaken, but Aziz is going to help him to become a better football player. We've seen how Christian Harris started to get a whole lot better towards the end of the year. You could tell and see D'Amico's imprint on him. Now, not only that, rookie Jamal Hill, who played safety and is converted to linebackers last year at Oregon, is another player that is almost like sticking to Aziz and like his twin. Everywhere he turns, he's right there trying to soak in everything that he can get from Aziz, learning how to play the position. And so
Yeah.
he's huge on that side. And I think that you remember in the press conference, you heard Will, I think it was Will who said Aziz was talking to him and telling him, hey, man, you got to blase this and blase that. I think he used profanity, but I don't want to use that. I know it's a family
go ahead.
show, but
we encourage it.
But he was like, wait a minute, man, I ain't never had nobody talk to me like that before.
Yeah.
So, Aziz is starting to, and so here's the thing. When you have a player like Aziz who has already proven that he can play the position, who's already proven that he is a leader, that's automatic respect when you walk through the door.
Yeah.
And he's come in, Aziz has come in, and he ain't trying to say, okay, I'm the star of the defense, I'm this, that, and the other. He just comes in, he fits right into that Texas culture that D'Amico and Nick is setting.
Yeah. No, exactly, 100%. You can see the. I wanted to go back to a point that was brought up earlier. It was, when you could tell with like David Culley and these guys here, and this is not a disrespect towards them. All the previous coaches, it's just like I didn't see that will or that fire for their and the players that I see with these guys for D'Amico, like that wasn't there. And that's all instilled in that type of culture that they've already instilled since in the short time that they've been here. And so that I feel like the thing about D'Amico is that leadership role transcends throughout not just the players, but I feel like anybody there at NRG. They know that's the guy that he transcends that. Like you said, he walks in, you want to play for that guy, you want to make him, and I think
wall for him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, sure. I'll run into his wall for you, sir.
Give me a helmet.
Yeah, and I think Aziz, like he brings that type of leadership also to the linebacking core. And like you said, CJ gave him props for being able to recognize, look, all the play calling he's doing. So, and it's definitely what the Texans needed anyway. A real was a Mike linebacker, right?
Yes.
So that's what they need. That's what they needed to begin with, and I think they did a great job addressing that with Aziz. With the addition of Aziz, you got him, and then you got Christian Harris, like you said, already. He did pretty great last season, and then say it again.
Harris County,
yeah, exactly, Harris County.
I like that.
Yeah, and then now, like adding, D'Amico into the mix, his coaching style, and then adding Aziz, that's just gonna, like you said, elevate him to a much better player. So I can't wait to see his development also this season. And all of these developments, like they help the team out in situations,
Yeah, for sure.
You want anything to that, Rios, or?
No, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah. Another guy that I want to talk about since we're on defense. I think there was an article that came out, and they're giving Kamari Lassiter a lot of props for his performances during was a rookie mini camp or what? I can't remember. OTAs, thank you. Yeah, just for those. We saw a video where he was like, I mean, of course, it's without pads, it's without all this, where he was keeping up like one-on-one with like Stephon Diggs and stuff like that. So that was kind of fun to see. What I guess in your perspective, what have you liked about Kamari Lassiter from what you've seen?
I like Kamari Lassiter.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, he still has a lot to learn. In the NFL, he's getting himself acclimated and situated to game speed, and so don't do it, Sarge. Okay, I got to do it.
Floor is yours.
So yes, he played good defense on Stephon Diggs. He did, but that was also it looked worse than what it was, but that was only because that was CJ's fault.
Oh,
if you go back and you look at the play, CJ, I think CJ like underthrew Stephon Diggs, and that's to be expected because they're at that time they definitely was not on the same page. They're still trying to get on the same page, and so their connection wasn't as good. You know what it reminds me of? I'm going to take you last season when CJ was a rookie.
Yeah,
him and Nico. It didn't take a minute, but it took a minute for them to get on the same page. You remember when all the reports was coming out in training camp? about CJ was throwing interceptions early.
Yeah.
Throwing a lot of interceptions early.
Right.
One interception he threw, he was trying to throw it to Nico, and they weren't on the same page. And I think it was Derek Stingley Jr. picked it off and ran into the house. And so, yes, I'm not taking anything away from Kamari Lassiter at all. You know, he's learning. He still has a lot to learn. I mean, there's sometimes that you can look and you can say, hey, if that was a double move, he would have been beat. And it's to be expected because he is a rookie learning. Now, I've watched his tape, so I know that once he gets the game down, he's going to be really good because he has that mindset. But that clip that went viral, I just kept saying to myself, it was good defense, but if CJ makes a better throw, it's a touchdown. And so I don't want people to get so excited and thinking that they can just automatically, you know, throw him in there. What's the wide receiver for the that was offensive rookie of the year 2 years ago for the Jets?
Garrett Wilson,
right?
Yeah, I don't think you just want to automatically throw him on, you know, Garrett Wilson and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, or just automatically throw him on CD Lamb when they play the Cowboys on Monday night. So, you know, there's going to be a learning process for him, and the good thing is that he has somebody on the other side of the field that can lock down an entire side of the field. That's going to help him with that. I mean, you think about it, this guy is what, 2-time national champion at Georgia. Yeah, and so I could see them, and I could also see them not only using him in the corner spot, but also using him as a nickel as well sometimes.
Yeah,
especially in some short yardage situations to maybe play the flats to put, you know, take that slot receiver. So, like I said, it's a learning process for him. Like he looked good, but you also know, okay, in the NFL, there's going to be some things that you're going to have to watch for. Yeah, they're gonna kill me on that one. Sarge don't know what he's talking about.
Don't worry, we'll make a short out of it just so that you can get the hate for it. Because anything will be taken out of context. I bet you.
Sarge just hating. I was like, I'm not hating, but I was there. I watched it. So yeah.
No, like I think with Lassiter, one of the things that does concern me a little bit also is he is like some of the clips that I've seen, he is very handsy, and that's might get some pass interference calls because depending on the referee crew, some of them are very flag friendly.
I like how he had that ready. You saw that?
Yeah, right. I seen that. Yeah, he's physical. He is physical. And I tell you one thing that, you know, with that front seven that the Texans have, and having him and also having Jalen Petrie, who can also come downhill to make tackles, like they should be very good in the run, stopping the run this year if Lassiter is the starter.
So I was going to ask you that for some people, that's I mean, from different things that we've read around, and then in different podcasts that we've been and talked to, one area of concern that we always bring up is always the secondary. How do you see that as the main area of concern for the Texans defense, or is there another area of concern that you would see?
So here's the funny thing.
Sure.
You brought up Lassiter.
Yeah.
But the person that I'm curious to see and to see how they're going to grow and see what's going to happen in training camp is actually Bullock.
Okay.
Right. Out of USC.
Yeah, Caden Bullock. Because he's from the clips that we saw on Bullock. He seems very physical. Yeah. Very. It looks like he fits that D'Amico, the swarm or whatnot. The swarm. Like he's all over the place.
He's a different type of
hard hitter. Yeah.
6'3".
Yeah.
6'3".
Yeah. He's
and he's athletic. And so the reason why I say that is because we don't know how long, how many games Jimmy Ward has left in him.
Right.
We don't know how healthy he's going to be this year. And so as time goes on, the way that Kalen plays is he's not physical, but he's a ball hawk. And not only is he a ball hawk, he's very intelligent at the position that he plays, being able to see everything in front of him. And so when you have him, and I feel like if you got him in the game and you have Petrie in the game, and this is only if something happens to Jimmy, because
Yeah.
a healthy Jimmy is still, better than the rookie right now,
Mhm.
right? Better than having Bullock right now. But
Mhm.
whew, watching him play, you could tell that he is fundamentally sound, and he knows the thing that he knows how to use his speed, and he knows how to use his height.
Yeah.
And because 6'3" is pretty big for a safety.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so he knows how to use height. What I mean by knows how to use his height is he uses that length to break up passes. He can use that length to intercept passes. And so with that being said, he's the one in that secondary that I'm looking to, by the second half of the season, taking that step up once he also gets acclimated to playing in that NFL game speed and get, Matt Burke's defense down. I think that he's going to be one of those guys.
I was gonna say his height is similar to Kyle Hamilton off of the Ravens. I think he's 6'4", if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. Kyle Hamilton is a beast.
But he's in that taller, like he's
Yeah.
he's that tall safety,
Yes.
He's only 20.
Yeah.
Can't even buy a beer yet.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so I feel like once he gets that, because you think about it, one thing that height definitely helps is, he's already, that deep off of the line of scrimmage anyway. So he got everything in front of him. And now once he's back, like he's already there. He turned and he running with you. Ball goes up. He's looking up. He throws that hand in the air. He's playing against wide receivers, some wide receivers who are shorter than him. He's going to be able to do what he needs to do.
Okay, so do you basically, you're intrigued into seeing what he brings to the table this upcoming season, his development as time goes on. Yeah, I'm interested too. Because if he does, then that's a steal at the round that we got him on, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, he was such a, like, we always bring it up. He was like one of those good things that came out of that USC defense, because that defense was what's another word for ass? Ass. Let's just go with ass. It was ass. I mean, let's just be honest here. He outshined a lot of those guys. So
that defense was horrible. Which, side note, that's why I keep telling people, I'm like, when it comes to USC, watching them last year, everybody's like, oh, Caleb's like, well, Caleb had to keep scoring, because if he didn't, the defense is going to give it up anyway. The defense is going to give it up. And so, of course, he had the ball in his hands a lot, because there was a lot of possessions that he was like, oh, man, whew, all right, we just scored or whatever. Sat down like, get your helmets. What?
Already?
Just sat down. So, yeah, you're right about the USC defense, though. I bet you wanted me to talk about Jeff Okudah, didn't you?
Yeah. And I was like, what is that role? Of course, I was leading up to that. It's like, talk a little bit about the role.
Jeff Okudah and who else? You got one more? I know it's
Jay Henderson. Yeah. Just
like there's real no clear winner so far.
Yeah. That CB2 spot basically is
definitely up for grabs. And so I'm hoping that here's a couple of guys who maybe have not been under the best leadership, has not been under the best leadership as far as head coach is concerned, head coaching is concerned. And, we talked earlier about D'Amico Ryans and his demeanor and what he demands and commands, but also what he gives back, the energy that he gives back to the players.
Right.
And so I'm thinking that here's two guys that this may be their turnaround point. This may be a point where they can say, okay, they can finally get it together. Because I mean, how many more stops do they have? Like, how many more stops do they have in them? Unless they're willing to come off the bench in multiple places. There's one thing I will tell you about D'Amico. Hey, if you ain't performing, you're not gonna be here.
Yeah.
If you're not performing, you're not gonna be on the field. There's been plenty of times that some players who you thought should have been out on the field wasn't on the field because D'Amico's like, hey, this guy's not giving it his all. He's not giving it his all in practice. So I don't know why he thinks that if I can't see it in practice, I can't see it in the game. Yeah. And that's nothing against. I'm not saying that that's what the short time I've observed Okudah or Henderson. But what I'm saying is that those guys if they want to, this is their opportunity to turn it around. I still see a lot of, good intangibles in them, but I also, who was it? Was it Mechie that beat Okuda
Yeah.
on that pass play and he dropped
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, it was Mechie.
It was Mechie that beat him. And so, and another side note, people talking about, oh, but Mechie dropped it. Yeah, that's because he was running this way and had to turn his body running full speed. He turned to the outside because he was thinking that the ball was going to come inside. But
Right.
another
He had to
side
adjust,
note,
right? He had to adjust to track. He was tracking the ball, and then he's like, "Oh shit!" And then he had to.
It kind of looked like a bad pass on that one.
and this is why you love your quarterback, CJ Stroud, because when he's looking, he can throw the ball inside because Mechie has Okuda beat. But if he throws it inside, that's going to give Okuda enough time to catch up to the pass.
Yeah.
So what CJ did was put it on the outside and say,
Yeah.
hey, look, if you can't catch it, ain't nobody going to catch it. And so when Mechie was running and he turned and he tracked the ball in and he did drop it. But I mean, the way CJ dropped that thing in the breadbasket. But you didn't ask me about that. As I digress, Mechie had beat Okuda bad, had beat him bad. But I also seen Okuda. Was it Okuda that got an interception in one of the last days of OTAs? And Jimmy was the first one out there. So, like I said, it's a learning process. And here's two guys that's coming in that has to learn the defense. And so, training camp. Though I'm in training camp, I'm looking. Those are the guys that's probably going to get the most reps.
Yeah,
like starting from the game in Canton all the way to the last game.
Yeah,
I don't even know who the last preseason game is, but I'm looking to see them on the field a lot this preseason.
Yeah, just to get those reps in and get that practice, and obviously it's the last part of the evaluation process where they're like, okay, let's see how this guy would fit in this situation best. From what I understand, I think that D'Amico likes to keep fresh legs regardless. Yes. So it's almost like while Okuda could be here at certain spots, maybe this on a particular down or whatever, okay, let's switch out Lassiter or let's switch out Henderson or whatnot and just kind of keep fresh legs aboard or whatnot. I understand. That's what I hear, that D'Amico likes to keep a lot of fresh legs around.
Of course, yeah. And if I put it like this. If you see Lassiter on the field, that means that he's won out the job, and one of those two will be his backup. Whoever's that last one, I mean, they can maybe back up Stingley if they'll keep him around to have around. But like I said, you're looking at two NFL veterans, and what CJ Henderson was. Which one of them went high? Was it Okuda or?
Yeah, it was Okuda.
It was Okuda.
He went. Hold on, let me see. Okuda went what?
3.
So, like with that type of talent, you're still wondering because what he's out of Ohio State.
Yep.
You're wondering what you're wondering what's not clicking, what's going on. So this is really like those two. They have the inside track to win it, but
gotta earn it.
Kamara is a dog though. Like he's a dog. Like look in the immortal words of the great Negro poet Laramie Tunsil, dog.
EAWG.
Yeah, dog.
All right. Let's see. I think we covered up a little bit of the deep. What about the? Oh, okay. So your take on the defensive line? How do you see that working out? Because obviously the area of concern was I think in all the defense was primarily I think the CB2 spot, and we addressed it already, and then. The linebacking core, we talked about it, and it wasn't, we liked the additions that we had on the linebacking core, and then so now I want to talk about the defensive line. So obviously you got Daniil Hunter, you got Will Anderson Jr. It's like, who do you stop at this point? You know what I mean? I feel like it was now it's gonna sound like another like a take here, but hear me out. Remember when we had JJ Watt and Clowney? And then it was like, okay, who are we going to cover or whatever? Like like all offensive lines, every offensive line in the NFL that the Texans faced when they had J.J. Watt and Clowney, who are you going to cover? Because you could triple team Watt or double team Watt, but you got Clowney coming around the corner. There were games when that may have worked a little bit, but I didn't see it as often as it should have, or what the expectation was at least. But with this one, with Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, it gives me different vibes. Like I feel like this is actually more attainable, and this is not a dig at Watt or Clowney, but it just seems like on this one, it's almost like a similar situation. Who are you going to cover when they're coming at you, right? What do you think on that one? Like with the comparison of guess of JJ Watt and Clowney with Daniil Hunter and Will Anderson Jr.
Uh, here we go again. Here we go again.
Are you gonna do it, Sarge?
I gotta do it.
Good.
Well, everything goes according to plan.
Yes.
You know, Will is gonna go down to me as the best defensive end to ever play for the Houston Texans.
Oh, okay.
I've said this before. I'll say it again. I said it on multiple occasions. If he continues on the trajectory that he's on,
Yeah.
because I'm looking at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
He may not have as many sacks as JJ Watt had, but the way he's going to impact the game. I mean, because let's just put it like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you got Lamar Jackson saying, I had to make sure I was checking for number 51. You know, after a playoff game, he had said I had to make sure I was checking for number 51 because he underestimated his speed.
Yeah.
Man.
Will is fundamentally sound. Will's job is to get to the quarterback, but sometimes he'll be going towards the quarterback and he can see the play and what's developing, and he's going to the play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's no knock at JJ Watt, but you know, JJ was very, very, very adamant about hitting the quarterback. Regardless of what was going on. He's going to hit the quarterback. And then you look on the other side and you had Clowney, who, when Clowney was here, man, I've said this on multiple occasions as well. Clowney got a bad rap when he was here. Mm-hmm. He got a bad rap because everybody's like, oh, what about his sack numbers, this, that, and another? And with the defense that they were calling, it was almost like JJ was able to do whatever he wanted to do, but Clowney had responsibilities. Mm-hmm. If you go back and you watch some of those games, Clowney is falling into the flats. Mm-hmm. Clowney is covering the back out the backfield. Clowney is setting the edge, not rushing up the field, but setting the edge. Mm-hmm. And he had responsibilities, whereas JJ was like, hey, I'm going to go get the quarterback. And don't get me wrong, he's one of the best to ever say, I'm going to go get the quarterback. And he went and got the quarterback. But Clowney had different responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at this package of Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter, I put them above that JJ Watt and Clowney duo, only because you have two edge rushers who are fundamentally sound and can play the position that they play, and they know how to play it to a T. So they're watching the play. They're not watching a player, they're watching a play. Daniil Hunter, yes, he had what did he have? 16 sacks last 12?
16 and a half, I think.
16 and a half. Yeah.
Right. So yes, he had those sacks, but that came within the flow of the game, right? And what did Will had 7, right? He probably would have had more if he wouldn't have gotten hurt. And he got off to a late start. I mean, because he was a rookie. But those two guys, they're so fundamentally sound at what they do. They're so good at playing their position that it's funny because now, to me, offenses are going to say, well, we can't run the edges because if we run away from Will, we're running into Hunter. If we run away from Hunter, we're running into Anderson. So now we got to figure out what we're going to do. But if we go up the middle, you got Danico Autry right there.
Yeah, Danico Autry got him. Like, where are you going to go?
Right, you got Danico Autry. You got Khalil Davis when he's in the game. Kurt Heinrich when he's in the game, playing the way that they played. And then, you get past them. Now you got Christian Harris and
Aziz.
So that's why I said, man, they're like this defense is stacked, the most talent that they've had since the Houston Oilers days. So that's why I put that duo over JJ Watt and Clowney, because I feel like you have two fundamentally sound edge rushers who's going to play the game, play within the system.
That makes sense.
No,
I like that. I like that take.
I got a hot take as well. I see
Go ahead.
both. I see both of them getting double-digit sacks this year. We haven't had a duo get double-digit sacks from the defensive end spot. I see both of those guys doing that this season.
Yeah,
12.
Because you got to pick your poison. Like, what are we gonna do? We're gonna double wheel. All right, go ahead and double wheel. Like Danielle Hunter, and so I had never met Danielle Hunter in person. I watched him play at LSU. I watched him play in the pros when he was with the Vikings. I had watched him play, but I never met him in person. Have y'all seen him in person yet?
Not yet. No.
Wait till you all see him at training camp in person. This man is humongous. Like, I thought that Calais Campbell was like the biggest person I had ever seen. Like Danielle Hunter, he's not like, I mean, and he's jacked.
Yeah.
Like you look at him and you're just like, oh yeah, and he got long arms, and you just look at him, you're like, yeah, it's gonna be a long game for some of these quarterbacks because Will is the exact same way. So you just got to pick your poison on which one you're gonna try to attack, and so that's why, you know, when it was Clowney and Watt, I mean, sometimes Watt could be beat if you let him just continue to rush up the field. I don't know if you all remember the game that Tony Romo just
when he just completely went around him.
Spin cycle.
And if you go back and you look at that whole game, their whole game plan was to let JJ run up the field and step into wherever he ran to, they ran from, they stepped into. JJ didn't have no sacks that game.
Nope.
And it's not me taking a shot at JJ Watt. All I'm saying is that he didn't play within the system a lot. He freelanced a lot, and he was the best at it. He was the 3-time defensive player of the year. You just don't win that. They just don't give that award out, you know. So,
yeah.
But by the same token.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to get your take on that one. I was
you just want to clip it up so you can be like, and Sarge said somebody did that already. You know, I have a picture of that. Somebody already said,
really.
I'm gonna share it tonight.
No, not at all. Like, that's why I like having these conversations because, like, I just want to get like your real feel for it. That's what the show's about, just a real feel. I know what you mean. I've seen people take like just shit out of context and then just like just for the views or clout as they call it over there and on Twitter or X, whatever Elon Musk wants to call it today. But no, it's just I like hearing that type.
And JJ has a lot of respect for Will Anderson too. Lot of respect, and so does, and it's mutual because Will does as well.
Yeah.
You know, Will be trying to pick his brain.
Yeah, so we kept seeing that. I think there was a thing that was released, like a student of the game or something like that, and he was like studying like some of the film as well. I was like, that's awesome. This is of Will Anderson, of course, and so it's awesome to see because I think I talked to you a little bit before we came on, and it was about how, you know, seeing on their social medias like these guys work out right now when there's nothing going on with any like training or anything like that. These guys are, you know, CJ Stroud is meeting up with receivers over there in Miami and things like that, and just kind of working and to get that camaraderie going together, that chemistry or whatever. So like I mean I don't know if other players did that when they were in the Texans, but this is the first time I actually see something like that happen, or at least be as
not the whole offense.
Yeah.
You saw like when Watson was here, like a few of the receivers, but it wasn't the entire offensive skill position group with the receivers and tight ends. Because I think the article you had sent us earlier, he had mentioned it's kind of like Ohio State. You got a lot of dogs in that room, in the receiver room, and it's not going to be just one guy. He's going to spread the wealth basically.
Yeah, and what I saw was like you said, it was, I think in that article it talked about how I think it was through Texans Wire or whatever. It was CJ Stroud talking about there's not just one particular guy. It's whoever beats the cornerback or whatever. Whoever's open, that's who's getting the ball. It's not one guy is bigger than the other. It's everybody's going to get fed as long as you work for your for the ball or whatever. So that's what I read up on that. And that's, I mean, honestly, it's a fair assessment of that situation, right? You throw the ball to whoever's open. There's no favoritism of this is my number one guy, this is my number one guy, this is my other guy either. And I think I feel like he made it clear so that I guess nobody feels they're a certain, I have to get the ball this many times. I have to get the ball as many times. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking on that one. What do you think, Sarge, on that?
So to your first point
Yeah.
about the camaraderie, I wrote an article last year.
Yeah.
I wrote an article last year. One of the first things that CJ and Will did when they got drafted, well, excuse me, after the draft, one of the first things they did was they started a rookie group text,
Oh,
and it was led by CJ and Will. And so they got all the rookies in one group text, and then like they probably still got it to this day. I'll ask them once training camp starts, but
yeah.
all they did was they talked to each other throughout the encouraged each other even before they started rookie mini camp. They just kept encouraging each other, being on the same page weekly. They would talk to each other, joke around, play around in the group a lot. And so this is a different set of rookies that you have. This is a different core and foundation
Yeah.
that the Houston Texans is building right now, especially with these young guys. These young guys, they get it early. CJ gets it early. He's like, okay, look, in order for this team to be better, I got to be better. In order for me to be better, I got to make the guys around me better. I got to be like we talked about earlier, I got to be on the same page as Stephon Diggs. I got to be on the same page as Tank Dell because I only got a chance to play with him half of his NFL season. And so we just got to get reacclimated. This year, you got John Mechie, who is going to have a breakout season.
I think so too.
Now that he's finally back fully healthy and ready to go and finally got his body together after dealing with, going through chemo for a year. So, this is, don't tell him I said this because he'll get so upset. But this is kind of like his rookie year. He don't want to hear that though. It's like, hey man, it's kind of like your rookie year because you missed your whole rookie year. Then last year you was coming off the situation, and so, but you got him. You got to see what you're going to get from Xavier Hutchinson. And right now you have Robert Woods. You still have Noah Brown, and so
there's depth on that.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's I'm not surprised seeing CJ with all the wide receivers and the tight ends getting them together.
Yeah.
Making sure that they're all on the same page. And last season, when I was talking to Tank said one of CJ's biggest attributes is he doesn't look at anybody as a number one receiver.
Yeah.
Tank said he can make anybody the number one. It's whoever's open is going to get the ball. It's like, so when we're out there isn't no clear, I'm number one, I'm number one. It's like when CJ drops back, who's ever open. And you got to remember now, the good thing about having a quarterback like CJ Stroud and him coming out of Ohio State, I mean, he's played with the best of the best.
Yeah.
He's had a wide receiver room better than what he has and he had a better wide receiver room in college than technically what he has right now. Because I mean, when we look at Garrett Wilson, when we look at Olave, when we look Marvin Harrison Jr. was the fourth wide receiver in that group.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and then not only that, I mean, look at what him and Cade Stover got on the same page, and he was able to help his teammate now. That was his teammate back in Ohio State. And so CJ is one of those guys that hey, look, if you open, you open. He's not going to force it. He's not going to force it. If he can't get you the ball, he's going to go to the secondary. He has time. Who was it? Which one of those linebackers from the Colts said he just goes back and he goes through his reads. And it's like, man, as a rookie, he's not supposed to be able to do all of that.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to be able to go through his reads. And so that's how I see it as far as, spreading the ball around. That's what CJ said. He's like, I can spread the ball around. I've been through this before. This isn't my first rodeo. And you have a wide receiver core who aren't divas. And I know people want to say Stephon Diggs, he's a diva. And I know that Nick Casario said, I don't know what a diva is. I don't know what the definition of diva is. Yeah, you know what it is. But, once again, I remember I said this earlier about CJ Henderson and Jeff Okudah. They've never had a coach like DeMeco.
Yeah.
Neither has Stephon.
True.
He hasn't had and not only do these players at this level, and especially at the level that a player like Stephon Diggs, not only is he holding himself accountable, but he knows that DeMeco's holding him accountable. He knows that CJ's holding him accountable. He knows Bobby Sloak is holding him accountable. And so when he steps on that field, he knows that, hey, I'm not going to come here and, shake it up and say I'm the number one wide receiver. If I'm open, I know CJ is going to give me the ball.
See, and that's what we had told a lot of other podcasts that interviewed us or talked to or were on when Stephon Diggs when he got signed, because obviously that was big news in the NFL world. So I think Rios and I and even our other co-hosts, we kind of made it a thing where we didn't think that the Texans were going to allow that to happen if that was the case. It's just they don't strike us like the kind of, like, I don't think DeMeco would put up with anything like that. And honestly, even based on what we've seen with Stephon Diggs, it looks like he's all in.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like he's all in for
he's
for
like
this.
at 1 a.m, and when he's not getting lost on 610 working out, like
Yeah, still, I still think we should help him out with that, with some of those signs or whatever. Like, it's a feeder. We call it a feeder.
exit right here. Exit.
Yeah, exit. Yeah. But remember, Stephon, if you do get lost in one exit, it'll take you like 7 or 8 minutes to come back around for another one.
For sure.
Yeah, that's Houston. That's for anybody also. No, but yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, we made it apparent thinking we didn't think the whole whatever is surrounding Stephon Diggs was going to be a big issue with the Texans locker room. Just because I think the culture that has been built around, and I know I keep going back to it, I don't think it will allow that. And I think now with CJ, saying that also, it kind of tells you, hey, there's nobody is above the team. Everybody, you get your share of the ball based on if you're open or not. It's basically just doing your job, and you get the ball. That's just how it is. Beat the corner, boom, you got the ball. Whoever's open is open, and that's who gets the ball. So go ahead, Sarge.
Just real quick, I want to throw this in.
Sure.
I don't know if because I haven't talked to Nick Caserio about this, but if I had to, go into Nick Caserio's mind, which is you're talking about freeways. Like, oh my God, like it's like I don't even know which way to go if I was inside of his brain. That man's brain turns like this.
Oh, I bet.
Like he's a very, very high level thinker. I like to think of myself as that too, but sometimes he be talking, I'll be like, what?
I know he's talking about he'll talk about one thing and then 8 different things come out and we'll go to an adventure for each and every single one of them. I got you.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but if I had to play Nick Caserio right now, if you said the part of the Houston Texans general manager will be played by Brian Bearfield, so Big Sarge.
Big Sarge.
Look at what he did. One of the smartest things that I think he did was when he traded for Stephon, he wiped away those other years.
Yeah.
Hey, he wiped away the other years. So, hey, man, you just come here. You on a 1-year deal with us, right? So now what does that do? Now, Stephon doesn't have that security blanket. He doesn't have that security blanket. So now guess what? He's playing for a multi-year contract.
Yeah. It's an audition, essentially.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can't come here and act a certain way.
Yeah.
Only because it's not the Texans culture. It's like you said earlier, it's not the Texans culture. And you're a 31-year-old wide receiver trying to get, hold on, let me see. I got the thing right here. Yeah. Right. 31-year-old wide receiver trying to get another multiple year contract.
Yeah.
But you got to prove it.
Yeah.
You got to prove to not only the Texans who can re-sign you, but you got to prove it to other teams who are also going to be watching and trying to see, well, what does he have left in the tank? Well, what is his body language like on the sidelines? What happens when they lose? What's going on in the locker room? Yeah. Hey, has he been negative with the media? What has the media been reporting about him? What has the local media been reporting about him?
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. So Nick was smart with that. On the flip side, Stephon knows that now he has players such as Tank Dell and Mechie looking up to him.
True.
Like I put out a picture not too long ago that had it was him, Mechie, and Tank Dell, and that's him, Mechie, and Tank all together right at OTAs. And if you look around, he's always talking to them, always talking to them. And he said in the press conference that that's one of the things that he loves about being here because for the first time he gets to be able to teach young wide receivers
True.
the game. He gets to teach the young ones how to be. And when I tell you that Tank Dell loves him to death because he always picking his brain, always picking his brain, always picking his brain. And on the flip side, he likes Tank because Tank always want to work. Tank always want to work. Always, no matter what. He working. And so that's why I'm curious to see, this season on how that plays out because I feel like what Nick Caserio did was very, very smart with the contract, and I feel that making him a leader inside of that locker room is going to help. I didn't mean to get long-winded. I apologize.
No, you're good. That's how I am on a daily basis here, so you're good. No, I love it. No, it's great. It's great because I get you get to hear the perspective from someone who's actually there, and sees it. The last things I know I told you till like 9, but
That's okay, bro. I'm cool.
Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is I'm a fan of Dameon Pierce, right? I like his attitude, and you hear it and from players, and you can and you sense it, and he's a great guy and all that. Obviously last season I don't think he was acclimating well to the zone scheme with Bobby Slowick. So, and then not just that, but you could also attribute it to other things, maybe the linemen, whatever. There's different variables that I feel like kind of caused a little bit of his downfall or this past season. Now you're the Texans, you bring in Joe Mixon here. Now, on paper, there is a possibility, as D'Amico Ryan said, that they could have like a 1-2 punch set of running backs. And I hate to keep saying this because I sound like a broken record. I bring it up all the time. Rios knows what I'm talking about because it's almost reminds me of what they had in 2011 with Arian Foster and Ben Tate. You had Arian Foster being the main back, and then you had Ben Tate being that power runner that could get through the holes and get you some yards or whatnot. And that was a good season in the running scheme for the Texans back in 2011. I mean, but it almost seems similar to that. Now, of course, I'm not saying Joe Mixon is going to be just like Arian Foster. I'm not saying Dameon Pierce is going to be like Ben Tate. How do you see? Like, what do you think? How do you think this is gonna go down with Dameon Pierce this season? He's had an off season to kind of work on this scheme. Like, what do you see from Dameon Pierce?
Hold on 1 second, because I'm sitting here thinking. I was trying to remember this name that I was going to mention, and I just put Mike quotation marks there in the middle of talking to you. This is how old people act. Like, oh, I got it. Yeah. That's why I was like, oh. So when it comes to Dameon Pierce, think about it. When Dameon Pierce was in college, he was in a rotating backfield, right? He didn't get a lot of touches, and it's crazy because one of the stats was, I think, every 7 touches he scored a touchdown.
Yeah,
coming out of Florida, but he was in a rotating system. Then he gets here, right? He gets to the Texans, and they got him running in one running style. And then all of a sudden, it goes into the next year, and things change. So now, think about it. He's been in the rotating backfield in college. He becomes the man, and then everything else changes again. So now, in 2 years, he's in his second system. In his first 2 years in the pros. And not only that, like you said earlier, he goes from one offensive blocking scheme to a totally different one, right? And this new offensive scheme that he's in, this Bobby Slowick offense that he's in, doesn't require him to be how can I put this? I've always said that he's a contact magnet.
Yeah, he looks for the hit.
Just contact, like it's just a magnet to him. And so in this system that they have here right now, avoiding contact is the best way to be successful. I.e., that's why Devin Singletary was so good.
Yes.
That's why Motor was so good, because he knew how to avoid contact, and he also knew how to do something that Dameon Pierce had in the offseason. He learned it a lot. That's all I've been hearing, is that he's had a great offseason. But what he learned to do was wait for his blocks and watch the backside holes, because the type of runner that he was a bruiser, and like I said, a contact magnet. So once he gets going one way, he don't see nothing else. I see here, and I see this linebacker that I want to hit. Like, I'm going this way. I want to hit. If he get just this much closer, I'm gonna smash him, and then I'm gonna try to keep running, right? And so now you get into, that's his first year. Now you get into his second year, and now you have a lot of you get the offensive line, you get to going one way, and then it's a backside hole that's going to open up. And the one person who brought this to my attention was, you remember when Mike Boone was here?
Yeah.
I asked Mike Boone about Dameon Pierce, and he says Damon's a really good running back. He's just going to have to learn how to play in this system. He's saying this is not easy to pick up at first, because if you're not acclimated to this system, if you don't know how to work this system, there's a lot that you're going to miss. So like I said, that's why you've seen Devin Singletary start to take more of that starting role and being the starting rotation. More was because he knew how to run in that offensive scheme. And he knew, hey, if I'm patient enough, something is going to open up somewhere, somehow. And if it doesn't, okay, I'll run with the flow and get as much as I can get. But I know on that next play or the next two plays, I'm going to be running, and something is going to open up. And as long as I'm watching for it, and Dameon Pierce Dameon Pierce wasn't aware of that, because he's still in the process. It's only his second year. He was in the process in his second year of learning a totally new offense. All right, Dameon, everything that you learned in your rookie season, forget it. We got to do something totally different with you.
Right.
So that's why. But now that he's able to be in this system for a second year, like I said, I've been told by numerous amount of people that in the off season he was in his playbook and he was conditioning.
Yeah.
In his playbook and he was conditioning. He didn't come into training camp last year like overweight. He didn't come in out of shape. But to play in this system, he had to get a little bit more, condition, just a tad bit more, take his condition up another level in order to play in this type of offense. And here's the thing, because of the way that Joe Mixon plays, he's going to be a great mentor for Dameon Pierce in this system. And I'm looking at by game 4, it will be that 1-2 punch, because Dameon Pierce is one of those guys that he don't like for you to he don't like to be criticized. And what I mean by criticize is he can take criticism. He don't like to be criticized to the point where he don't like to be criticized to the point where someone is telling him he's not doing his job.
Yeah.
Oh, that burns him up on the inside, because
I bet.
I work hard, I know what I need to do. And so last season kind of had that feeling of, nobody believes in me, right? Nobody believes in me, and I'm gonna show them. So I'm not gonna lie, man, he is looking good.
That's good. That's good to hear. Like, that's because I think overall, like I personally, I'm like, I want to see that Dameon Pierce that we saw that rookie season. I want to see a successful Dameon Pierce and be I don't want to say not a contributing factor because he does, but I want to see him in that running back role, and not just special teams or whatnot, how they put him last year.
Yeah.
That role. I feel like he's destined to be to have a bigger role, but I'm just hoping that all that just something clicks, and then we do get to see that 1-2 punch, like you said. But that's what I wanted to hear from you.
Steve Slayton 2.0.
Yeah. Rios has this great analogy with the Steve Slayton thing. Go ahead, Rios, go for it.
Yeah, because like Steve Slayton, his rookie season, 1,000-yard rusher. Like, oh, we got a running back of the future. Year 2, returning kicks. I'm like,
yeah.
Where have I seen this story before? Where have I seen this story before?
It's that PTSD that kicked in. I was like, that 31 turned into a 20 real quick.
No,
again.
Make it stop.
Steve. Yeah, no, and so that's what I'm saying. I'm hoping that it doesn't come out to be just another Steve Slayton story. I'm wishing the best for him, but yeah. Other than that, Sarge, I mean, I really want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Wait. One thing.
Sure.
Let me say this now, so you all can have this on record. Kenyon Green comeback season.
Yes, Kenyon Green. I feel like it's going to be his revenge tour. Kenyon Green revenge tour.
Here for it. We need it.
We need that. And honestly, I'm liking that O-line right now. And then you grab Blake Fisher also as almost like a security blanket of whatnot. I'm all in for that. I feel good about that offensive line.
Yep.
Better than I did last season.
Kenyon Green comeback season.
Yeah. There you go. Sarge, again, I want to thank you for joining us and just hanging out with us and talking. It's always a wonderful time when you're here, honestly.
Thanks for having me.
No, I appreciate you. And guys, please, if you're on X or Twitter, again, whatever Elon calls it today, follow Big Sarge at Big Sarge Sports. He's there. He knows exactly what he's talking about. He's there at NRG. Are you there every day? I assume, or are you there?
What you mean? During training camp?
Yeah. You're like,
I'm sorry. Once training camp starts.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there at rookie mini camp, OTAs, voluntary, mandatory. Yeah. So I mean,
he's all in.
July 18th, I'm there. You want to look for me? Just look for the guy that I have on the Big Sarge Media T-shirt. I'm going to be there. Yeah, man, I'm there.
There you go. This guy, that's a primary source right there. So you heard it straight from Big Star Sports. Follow him on the X account right here. Also, if you're on the Instagram, also is Big Star Sports, just like you see it here with a Z at the end. And I want to put your YouTube channel, if that's okay. Your YouTube channel right there, so you can subscribe to Big Sarge Media. It's Big Sarge Media 2834. And just give him a like and a subscribe.
Wait, one more thing. I got one more thing for
you. Sure.
Oh, I have. Make sure you subscribe to the Sports Talk with Big Sarge podcast. Available where you get your podcast from.
Yeah, there you go.
I got something really good coming up on tomorrow too. I'll give you all a little preview real quick.
Sure.
You look at the AFC South, right?
Yeah.
And you say you would say, on paper, the Houston Texans have the best wide receiver core, right?
Yeah.
In the AFC South. I mean, and I know we could say the AFC or the NFL, but I'm just sticking in the AFC South, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
They also got the best tight end core in the AFC South.
Ooh, okay.
I'm telling you.
Spicy. I like it.
I like it. I'm all in. And will it be on this channel here?
Yes, it will be.
Okay. All right. Definitely. What time is coming out tomorrow?
It's going to come out at 10 a.m. because at 1 p.m. I have to be at Toyota Center welcoming Reed Shepard, the number 3 overall selection of the Houston Rockets in the 2024 NBA draft. He's speaking tomorrow.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, awesome. All right. So, hey, check out Sarge at 10 a.m. tomorrow at Big Sarge Media 2834, that YouTube channel. Again, give him a sub for that one, and you get to hear what he was talking about the AFC South and the tight end. One more time, repeat again.
Oh yeah, I got that. The Texans not only have the best wide receiver core in the AFC South, they have the best tight end group as well.
There you go. And of course, please sub to our channel right there at the bottom. Let me see. Oh, there it is. Okay, sub to our channel. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong button here. Hold on. Yeah, actually, no. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at JustFans22. Also, our Instagram account at Just Fans Pod, just like you see it. And of course, if you'd like to hear a little bit more professionalism out of us, go subscribe to our channel, Bring on the Blitz podcast at B Blitz Pod. Our X account, also B Blitz Pod, part of the RS Skina podcast network as well. Sarge, it's always a pleasure when you're here, man. We got to have you again, at least before the season starts, just to talk about, training camp and things like that. I appreciate you coming. It's always great to see you, and we look forward to hearing more from you on your X. Hey,
first of all, thank you all for having me. I really appreciate it. Y'all coming out to training camp, right?
Yeah.
Y'all coming together?
Are we, Rios?
I think on Wednesday,
yeah, I'll be there on Wednesday with Rios also. So 2 days,
all
the 20th. I'll be there on the 23rd with my other co-host, and then I'll be there. Rios will be on there on the 24th, and I'll also be there on the 24th.
I'm only asking this because if y'all got time, I'd love for you to come to the Texans Tailgate Talk. Sit down on the tailgate and let's talk some Texas football.
Do that. Oh yeah, we're down.
All right, now.
I appreciate you. All right, that's gonna be it. Sarge, don't leave just yet, but I'm just going to end the show. And join us next week. I'll be on vacation next week. My other co-host won't be on next week. But Rios, I think you may have our old friend Dallas. He's a Colts. He runs a Colts fan page, and I think you guys are going to talk about Colts Texans. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that next week. It's going to be the Rios.
Name Dallas Clark.
Yeah, coincidentally, his name is Dallas Clark. Yeah, so it'll be a Rios and Dallas Clark show next week. Same time, same place, Monday at 8 p.m. That's going to do it for us, guys. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace. Wrong one.
Southwest A-League, Texas, throw down here and it's so infectious. We ride for the Houston Astros, Rockets, Dynamo, and them Texans. If you ain't never been down here, but rule number one, you gon' respect this. Just fans in my speakers, new one drop, they bout to bless us. I might right through the SWAT, playing just fans right through your spot. Look, and I don't know what you thought, but right here, dog, we gon' rep